going. And then let's do the live and see if it works on there. Yeah, live's giving me trouble. It's probably because I waited too long. Let me try one more time. Let's see. Technical difficulties always, right?
Yeah.
Let's see if it works this time. If not, we'll just do it the other way. I wanted to get it. Let's see. Next. Let's see. Streaming. It's looking good so far. And let's see where we are. Okay, let's put that up. Paste that. And then go live. Go live anyway. Okay, so now we're here. Can you hear me? Is everything good on your side?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, awesome. So you were putting out signs today? How would that go? How many did you put out?
Just this morning, probably about 15.
Wow, that's not too bad. That's not too bad.
No.
But it's hot. It's super hot out there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and even if the sun's not out, it still burns.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine. I was definitely trying to stay away from that quarantine, so you can see I'm a little bit lighter right now. Hey, so tell me a little bit about your early life. I know you were a cop at one time. I did my research. You did a cop for a while. Did you do anything prior to that?
Well, I was pretty young. I ended up selecting to come to the university here. I had a scholarship.
Awesome.
And I came here. And after graduating, I had a chance. I took the LSAT. I was going to go to law school.
Nice.
So one of the last classes I took, believe it or not, was I did a internship at the police department. I was the first student intern at the CCPD.
Oh, but that was
the university.
That was
and I fell in love with the culture. I fell in love of being a police officer.
Sure.
And I ended up applying, taking the test, and I got in. And probably within the first year, which never happens, I ended up being selected to become a detective.
Oh, wow.
So I was the youngest detective.
That was within a year?
Yeah.
Wow, that's really fast.
I got Officer of the Year that year. I had probably about 36 rolling stolens.
Oh, awesome.
I would memorize the hot sheet of stolen cars. So I was very...
You're a rock star.
Yeah. And I was selected to go in there, and, I did real well. I did a grant, a federal grant for repeat offenders, going after the worst offenders here in Corpus and in Oasis County, because it was a federal grant to go after in the regional area.
Wow.
And I completed the grant, and even though I was the youngest guy I was the youngest person in CID, because, it's just very unusual for a young officer to get in there. Yeah. I led the team.
Sure.
In that, and we were extremely successful. Awesome. And I made lieutenant. When I made lieutenant, I was selected to go to narcotics.
Oh, wow. Just moving it on up.
Yes, I went to narcotics, and they removed 2 senior supervisors from there.
Oh, wow.
They weren't doing a good job. They were probably right around $300,000 of drug seizures.
Oh, wow.
And that was pretty low, especially in our region at that time. It was 85, 86. Mm-hmm. And then, so what I did, I went in there, and we completely turned it around. By year 2 or 3, we were already doing $5 million a year in confiscations. Wow. Oh, yeah.
That's like literally quadruple.
Yes. And from there, I went to, I became a captain. I took the test and became a captain. But one of the things that I remember there was some highlights in my career there as a first-line supervisor in narcotics. I ended up, the DEA task force, those are regional officers that work with the DEA. Sure. I was able to select the first 2 to ever go in the Corpus Christi area to the DEA. Pretty and awesome. That was John Houston, who's now the chief security officer at Citgo, and Robert Bridge, who's now the chief of police in Beeville.
Oh,
and
wow.
these guys worked for me. Yeah. And they were good.
Full circle, literally.
Yes. And then I became a captain, and as a captain, oh man, I worked for different chiefs, and they always had the confidence in me to get things done for them. Sure. Chief Garrett, selected me to start the gang unit. Oh, wow. I started the gang unit.
You have experience in every single area.
Oh yeah, I've been everywhere.
Success in every area.
Yes, sir. I'm very committed to getting things done.
Yeah.
And there's I think the golden rule for me is to get the officers to buy in.
Sure.
It's called empowering the officers. Okay.
Definitely.
I don't like to go into a new area, or in this case, a new agency as the sheriff's department, and think I have all the answers. Oh, I think that people in leadership, the number one thing is about communication. Oh, and when somebody hears that, they think it's about talking, about expressing yourself, but it isn't. 50%
listening
of that skill is listening.
Exactly.
It's listening. And it's listening to your officers, listening to the civilians that work there, and listening to the frontline people that are actually doing the work day in and day out. They will know what works and what doesn't.
Exactly.
So that's the key that I've always had. And if you look back at my career, if you go to my website, davidtorresforsheriff.com, I'll list 20-something different innovations that I brought. But honestly, I just provided the resources and the tools for the officers to accomplish the task.
Yeah, to be successful. That's a tough time.
And that's what leadership is all about. Leadership is about getting things done through other people. Yeah. And I've been very successful, and that's why I believe that I'm the best candidate for sheriff in Nueces County, because I'm going to bring those reforms and those changes that need to be done.
Well, I'd have to agree with you there. You have definitely have my vote on that. And
and so when I became a commander,
I have to give a shout out though, real quick. I was talking to Terry Shamsey earlier. He wanted me to tell you hi.
Oh, okay. Terry Shamsey is one of the best attorneys here in town. I can tell you right now, if not all of South Texas. I've worked with him. I've worked with him, and let me tell you something. He's head and shoulders above everybody else. He really is. But as a commander, I've worked the last 13 years.
Sure.
As a commander before I retired, and 10 years as a captain. And I think that gives me a very good perspective in reference that executive experience is undeniable. Sure. I've worked at every different division.
Sure.
And along the way, Ryant, is that I was able to go to the FBI National Academy, which is the premier leadership command school in the world. The world. I was there 3 months. Then I went to Austin and Washington, D.C., and I went to crisis management classes. And in reference that every chief had confidence in me. If we had refinery explosions, I took care of it. If we had hurricanes coming up our way, we took care of it. If we had a tornado hit, as we were sitting down for a graduation, Chief Alvarez goes, "Hey, Torres, go get it." And I'm the one who takes care of it. I'm the one who takes care of it. And I always did that. I enjoyed it. And again, it's because of the dedication of the officers.
Oh, yeah.
The dedication of the officers.
You definitely tell you're a great leader and great temperament. I mean, you're able to handle multiple situations and handle them and be successful in them. So,
and I think that's what that sheriff's job entails. On a daily basis, you're going to get hit hundreds of times from different directions.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine.
Okay. If it's not the job, it's a personnel issue, citizens, the commissioners, this, that. So you must know how to prioritize.
Sure.
And those are the things to me that I think make a very good leader. One of the, I think as I go through, and as I was thinking about, I thought about three things that I think a sheriff should have, and that's going to be, to me, is executive leadership, which I have 23 years of, a captain and commander.
Definitely.
And then you must have leadership skills. And
Sure.
that's what I've had because I've had the training and I've had the incidents that I've had to take
Sure.
care of.
Definitely.
And then number 3 is a problem solver. Because ultimately,
That's the job. That's the job.
That's right. That's exactly right. The buck stops at your desk. And if you don't get it done, guess what?
Yep. They don't want to hear complaints. They want to hear solutions. That's the thing.
There we go. There we go. And I think that's going to be what I was looking at if I was going to run. And it I talked to a bunch of people. I talked to some business people and
Sure.
see if I was going to put myself through it. And I've enjoyed it.
I'm glad you are, because I think you're what we need, definitely. I had some people hit me up on Twitter, ask some questions. You kind of hit on a lot of them, but let's see some of the ones they went over. We went over the early life, the cop life, the sheriff, the platform that you're running on. You explained that so eloquently. They wanted to know, why did you want to run? You already said that. They thought, what could you do better than the current administration? And what do you think is the biggest issue that the jails are facing today?
Well, I think that the biggest issue right now that you're facing is going to be this COVID. Okay. The COVID situation that has hit us, I think as a new sheriff coming in January, I think it's going to be there until we get a vaccine, a viable vaccine. So the difference is that I believe that as some departments, some sheriff's departments in the state of Texas, they do mass testing for the employees, especially the ones that are working at the jail. Because remember, if you're working at the jail, you're sharing the same ventilation.
Exactly.
It's hard to get any social distancing. You're going to be in there again in close quarters. So it's a little different from a field officer. I'm not saying that a field officer is much less, but I believe that a correctional officer is in greater danger because of those issues. Definitely. And I believe that what I want to do is I want to do the mass testing for all the officers, including correction officers and the officers out in the field, which is field ops. But I also want to test their families. Think about this. You have an officer that goes back home, and some of them have a small family, some of them have a large family, some of them have an extended family living with them. So those are the people that can contaminate our officers. Sure. And a lot of times, they're saying anywhere from 40 to 50% of the people are asymptomatic, and they're going to be taking that virus back into close quarters at the jail or close quarters in our building. And that's why, to me, it's very important to do that mass testing for our officers, but also for their families, their households. And I would like to see that our officers get scheduled testing. That way we can make sure that nobody is getting contaminated and is bringing in asymptomatic issues and getting into the jail asymptomatic and infecting some of our inmates, because those inmates invariably will infect other inmates, but other correctional officers.
It's just a
so that's the big difference. And I would like to do that. One of the things that I would want to do also is I'm very committed to reforming some of the procedures and policies and structures of the jail.
Sure.
And that's what I'm looking at.
That's the low offenders and stuff like that, or?
Well, I mean, we want to look. The way I'm looking at it, honestly, Ryan, is, a lot of times, some of the procedures, some of the policies already in place somewhere. Sure. With other sheriffs. And what I want to do is I want to create work groups with these officers and send them out. Yep. Send them out, because if you call the jail standards, they will give you a listing of the exemplary jails. That means these are head and shoulders above any of the jails. They're doing something very well. They're doing something very good. Sure. We want to know how they are doing that. There might be different procedures, policies, this. So we want to make sure we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to copy that wheel.
Exactly. Whatever's working, keep it going.
It's called it's looking for best practices.
Definitely.
I want to bring them back to Nueces County, because we have some very, very good frontline officers here in Nueces County.
Definitely. I don't know if you can answer this one, but there was like at least 6 or 7 of the questions were the same in terms of, I guess is there a low turnaround on the actual sheriffs that are working right now, or like the correctional officers, or
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I guess one of the questions that they were bringing up is what would you do to make sure that more correction officers become correction officers? I guess if I'm wording that right, because
okay, yeah,
we're pretty low right now.
That's
right?
another
Right or wrong, I don't know.
Yes, that's another big issue that we have is the shortage of of personnel.
Sure.
Look, my management style has always been proactive.
Sure.
Before the pandemic, last fall we had a lot of fall festivals.
Of course.
A bunch of them. I went to the one at St. Anthony's. We had about 2,000 people out there in Robstown. I went to one in Flower Bluff. I went to one in Annaville, in Calallen. So I went all over.
Yeah.
All over, thousands and thousands of people.
Recruits. Yeah.
Not once did I see any of the recruitment tables or officers from the Nueces County Sheriff's Office.
Gotcha.
See, I believe that you cannot sit back in your office and be reactive or wait for somebody to hit your website and apply. I want to go out there actively looking for people. That's number one.
That's
number two, I am proposing something completely off the chart. What I want to do, and the reason is because we're in dire need of officers.
Definitely.
Okay. And what I want to do is I want to hire a professional marketing company, a private marketing company.
Specifically for
that. To help us with our brand, to help us recruit, to help us lure people to come to the Nueces County Sheriff's Office. Okay. And the reason I want to do that, because these are professionals, number one. Sure. Number two, our officers are really tied down in to frontline operations. Mm-hmm. If you have officers in the jail, that's what their primary function is. If you have supervisors, that's what their primary function is. Patrol officers the same way. Warrant officers the same way. I mean, and if you have command staff, well, they got to supervise the whole thing. Yep. When do we have time to do that?
Yeah,
exactly. And that's what I'm proposing. I don't mind using drug money for that, drug funds for that. I think that we'll have enough, because I think that will make a big difference.
Well, if you're in charge, we're going to be getting a lot of that. So.
And one of the things is that I would make a matrix in selection, because I've done that before.
Sure.
These are the things that we're looking for. It might have 5 things. It might have 20 things.
Sure.
But we want to get the right company to come in here and help us. And I want to get a contract with them, but I want to have an escape clause that if they're not doing the job that we want them to do, I can break it and we can go to another company.
Oh, that's very interesting. I think that's a great idea. It's actually a really great idea.
Well, I got some more in reference to that. You know, we and I know why. I mean, we got one recruiter and he does the backgrounds. Very, very knowledgeable individual, but he's overwhelmed.
Yeah, there's no way to keep.
One of the things I want to do is I want to have some part-time officers that can want to volunteer, not only from corrections, but from the field ops, put them together and send them out there to large gatherings. Sure. And it might be a football game.
Sure.
You know, how many football games, how many people are at Buccaneer Stadium? You got 2,000 people there.
At least.
Calallen. Yep. You got another, 1,500 people. So
of course,
those are the things that I want to do. I'm not, and if we get a dozen people to apply, it's a dozen people we wouldn't have gotten.
Yep. No, that's right.
So I'm telling you, that's my proactive style, Ryan. We need to get out there. We need to go after it. We cannot sit back and go, oh, well, they didn't come into the office, or, our website didn't get hit. We only got 3 people this month. No.
I love all that.
We got to go out there.
And we need you definitely to win. You got to win, man. You have any,
any
final thoughts on so what you want to tell the voters?
Oh, the final thoughts? I'm ready.
Well, you pretty much said out all of it. I think you did great. But if there's any
final thoughts is that in uncertain times, such as the COVID that we haven't had successfully completed or terminated, and I think it's going to be until next year because of a viable vaccine.
Sure.
I think we're going to have unfortunately, we are seeing but we're going to have a downturn of our economy.
Yep.
And we have a severe staffing problems. So I believe that in these uncertain times, with my executive experience and decisive leadership, these skills are needed at this time for this agency. And that's why I believe that I'm the best candidate for this agency. I'm willing to answer any questions on my website, on my emails, you name it. I'm always answering questions.
Why don't you say your I know your website, but tell everybody the website that you have and also your email that they can get to you directly at and answer any questions they have.
My website is going to be davidtorresforsheriff.com.
Nice.
I have Facebook. I have a personal Facebook, and I got about 5,000 people there. And then I got a campaign Facebook also. But you know what? You can email me any question. Let me give you my email. It's dt15721 at icloud.com.
Perfect.
And let me tell you, I recently, I go to restaurants, and if it's full, honestly, I kind of walk out because if it's full, but if it's a low number in there, I'll go in there, and I go at least 2 to 3 per day. And people will approach me, and people will ask me very good questions.
Yep,
and you know what? I do not mind answering. I've had retired officers ask me. I've had current officers ask me. I've had business people ask me. One of the best questions was a teacher.
Yep.
So, I've always been known as a straight shooter. I'm going to tell you, this is the way it is. I'm not going to give you a political answer. I'm going to give you a straight answer.
Hey, the right answer is the best answer, right? The truth.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Well, you're definitely running for the most important office there is right now, and we definitely need some change. So I hope that you definitely get the W.
Well, I appreciate that.
I'll definily tell my supporters to go your way.
Well, I appreciate that, sir.
Thank you so much for being on Candid, David. I know you're really busy, so we really appreciate it.
I'm going to run out and put some more signs.
Hey, do your thing, man. We need you to win. Keep it going.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you. Thank you, too. God bless you as well.